Have you ever noticed how your growth makes others uncomfortable? Not because you said anything, but because you changed. Your silence suddenly becomes louder than their noise. People laugh, joke, or give subtle advice, yet underneath it all, they're unsettled. Because the moment you break free from the herd, you force them to confront their own stagnation. True strength doesn't make a scene. It walks in quietly and changes the room without saying a word. And that's what terrifies them the most. Welcome to Stoic Blendware. Ancient wisdom meets modern life. Today, we explore what it really means to build a mind so strong it disturbs the world without even trying. You may be going through it right now. You've started to question things, act differently, speak less, and think deeper. And suddenly, you feel alone, misunderstood, judged, maybe even feared. But what no one told you, and what thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus deeply understood, that this is the price of awakening. You're not broken. You're simply evolving in a world that thrives on sameness. You're not just developing strength. You're building a kind of inner force so unshakable that it exposes others without a word. Because when your mind refuses to bend, it reflects the frailty of those who still live on autopilot. Why does this happen? Because a truly powerful mind is dangerous. Not in the violent sense, but in the radical sense. Dangerous to systems, dangerous to false beliefs, and most of all dangerous to your former self. This isn't a feel-good journey. It's not a motivational soundbite or an affirmation you chant in the mirror. It's war. A war between who you were and who you must become. And in this war, pain is not the enemy. It's the teacher. Think back to the moments that shaped you. Were they gentle? Were they peaceful? Or were they filled with confusion, loss, and silence? The Stoics knew growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in chaos. Not despite it, but because of it. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not when life was easy, but when the Roman Empire was crumbling around him. He led through plague, betrayal, and endless war. And yet, his mind stayed anchored. Why? Because he embraced the abyss. He didn't run from disorder. He walked into it and built something stable within himself. That's what you must do. Stop waiting for clarity. Stop begging for peace. Ask instead to become stronger, because only in the ruins can you rebuild something unshakable. The more you detach from noise, the more you begin to scare people. Not because you threaten them, but because your silence demands they examine themselves. You become a mirror, and most people hate what they see. They'll call you arrogant, too serious, too distant. But what they're really saying is, you're changing, and I don't know how to handle it. You don't owe them comfort. Your evolution is not up for discussion. As the Stoics taught, true freedom begins when we stop outsourcing our values. There is no manual. There is no blueprint. Only your ability to create meaning through action. And that's the turning point. The day you stop asking, is this acceptable? And start asking, is this worthy of me? You stop adapting to the world and begin shaping it. This is what Epictetus called the true exercise of reason. Not philosophy as theory, but philosophy as power. But this transformation doesn't happen with applause. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the wilderness where no one watches and no one claps. That's where your real work begins. Because the moment you begin building an unbreakable mind, you also begin walking alone. And the higher you climb, the lonelier the path becomes. Most people cannot stand the silence. They return to the herd, to shallow talk, to predictable routines. But if you remain, if you endure that desert, something begins to shift. You no longer need validation. You no longer seek approval. You no longer dilute your truth for comfort. You become dangerous because you no longer need anyone to define you. The Stoics weren't interested in popularity. They trained their minds to remain calm in storms, focused in chaos, and detached from judgment. That's what made them powerful. And now it's your turn. Not to imitate them, but to awaken that same spirit within yourself. Because the world doesn't fear loud people. It fears the calm ones who don't flinch, who don't react, who don't explain. The ones who simply act with purpose and walk away with peace. But beware, your strength will be tested. Not by enemies, but by mediocrity. By those who will tell you to stay small, stay safe, stay like them. They'll mock your discipline, downplay your clarity, question your detachment, but stay the course. Your presence alone is a threat to their complacency. Your success is a mirror to their excuses. And your silence? It's the loudest thing they'll ever hear. So if you feel isolated, misunderstood, and restless, good. That means you're right where you need to be. You're breaking away. You're shedding old layers. You're building something terrifyingly rare. A mind that cannot be broken. A presence that needs no permission. A spirit that walks alone, but never feels lost. Now, it's your turn. In the comments write, one truth you've been afraid to say. Something real. Something raw. Declare it. Because power begins when truth is no longer hidden. And if this video awakens something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Stoic Blend. Not for entertainment, but because you're ready for more. More depth. More strength. More clarity. Let's keep going. You're not just watching. You're changing. And the world can feel it.